Japan Ministry of Environment Protection led a program named EXTEND, which stands for Extended Task on Endocrine Disruption in 2010, aiming to accelerate the establishment and implementation of assessment methodologies towards the goal to properly assess the environmental risk of endocrine disrupting effects of chemical substances. Endocrine system, also referred to as hormone system, are found in all mammals, birds, fish, and many other living organisms. They are made up of glands located throughout the body. In the hormones that are made by the glands and released into the bloodstream or fluid surrounding cells, and also found in receptors in various organs and tissues that recognize and respond to the hormones. The major organs of the endocrine system are thyroid, hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenals, pineal, and reproductive organs. In the years, many chemicals have been recorded as unintentional disrupting the endocrine system of humans and wildlife. These chemicals are referred to as endocrine disruptors. Those are chemicals that may interfere with the endocrine system and produce adverse developmental, reproductive, and immune effects in both human and wildlife. The endocrine system regulates all biological processes in the body from the conception through adulthood and into old age, including the development of brain and nervous system, the growth and the functions of the reproductive system, as well as metabolism and blood sugar levels. There are diverse range of substances that are believed to act as endocrine disruptors by many in the science community, and most of them are manufactured while some occur naturally. Some have been used in pesticides, herbicides, consumer products, pharmaceuticals, and even as a component in some building materials, like paint. A partial list of substances that can act as endocrine disruptors include lead, arsenic, cadmium, mercury, and glycol ethers, just to name a few. Disruptors can increase production of certain hormones or decrease the production of others. They can even interfere with hormones signaling and throw off the hormonal balance, resulting in a wide array of possible health effects, which include reproductive issues, low birth weight, behavioral problems, obesity, diabetes, and cancer. It is nearly impossible to avoid exposure to these contaminants completely, but the risk can be minimized by reducing exposure as much as possible by removing contaminants in consumable products, especially in water. There are many ways that can be used for the removal of dissolved organic contaminants in water, like the following methods: precipitation, ion exchange, reverse osmosis, and electrodialysis. Now, let's look into precipitation, which is the first method that can be used. Precipitation is a technique of removing one or more substances from a solution by adding reagents so that insoluble solids appear. It is one of the simple methods to purify water. The chemicals that are added to form particles which settle and remove contaminants from water. The treated water is reused, while the settled portion is dewatered and disposed of. The technique is used to softening of water, as well as to remove impurities like phosphorus, fluoride, arsenic, and heavy metals. The precipitation has the following advantages. It is simple, and also it is effective for the removal of arsenic, cadmium, chromium, mercury, and etc. and also it is applicable to remove natural organic matter. It also has the following disadvantages: handling of byproducts, disposal of precipitation sludge, and also it requires huge supply of huge chemicals. And the precipitation can be applicable in wastewater treatment of heavy metal ions. The next method that can be used is ion exchange. Ion exchange is a water treatment method where one or more undesirable organic contaminants are removed from water by exchange with another non-objectionable or less objectionable ionic substance. And it has the following advantages: it is simple and low running cost technique, and also it is useful for the recovery of expensive material from industrial waste. However, it also has disadvantages, and its disadvantages are ion exchange, resins do not remove biological components, and also there is a limitation on the concentration in the effluent to be treated. Therefore, the ion exchange method can be applicable in water softening and water demineralization. Our third method that we can use is reverse osmosis. Reverse osmosis is a water treatment process that removes contaminants from water by using pressure to force water molecules through semi-permeable membrane. During this process, the contaminants are filtered out and flushed away, leaving clean, delicious drinking water. It has the following advantages: it is eco-friendly and it has ability to remove almost all kinds of contaminants. And its disadvantages is that the purified water obtained is devoid of useful minerals. And the process can be applicable in desalination of treated wastewater, in galvanic production, and in the production of printed circuit boards. And the last method that can be used is electrodialysis. Electrodialysis is a process controlled by an electric field gradient that allows the separation of minerals from feed water solution. It moves dissociated ions through an ion PEM selective membrane and forms two different flows: desalinated flow called diluate and a concentrated flow called concentrate. And the following electrodialysis, as shown in the diagram, it has these advantages: it eliminates the chemicals for regeneration completely, and also it is effective for the complete removal of dissolved ionic particles. It has the disadvantage also, which are that it cannot remove the non-charged, higher molecular weight and less mobile ionic species, and also the requirement of large membrane areas. The process can be applicable in the removal of ionic substances from water. It is of great importance that all water treatment plants conform to the water standards established. As we know, water is vital for the survival of human, animal, or plant life. About 90% of the Earth's water supply is in the ocean, but this is unhealthy for human consumption and other uses of water because of its high salt content. Therefore, to provide safe and clean drinkable water for the consumers, the suppliers must be able to manage and control the produced drinking water quality using appropriate existing methods and tools. The standards and regulations play an important role which specify the acceptable limit values of various possible drinking water contaminants, as well as the obligations and means regarding the drinking water quality. In the most industrialized countries, Safe drinking water is recognized as a basic human right and a cost-effective measure of reducing disease. Drinking water quality standards and regulations are based on the current published scientific research related to the health effects and operational considerations. All these important parameters aim at providing clean, fresh, and tasty drinking water that helps to reduce water-support diseases and encourage healthy living. As estimated in the developing countries, over 80% of the diseases are caused by contaminated drinking water. Moreover, 30% of work productivity is lost. This is because water is largely the cause of the most diseases, and a significant amount of work potential is highly compromised. The standardization provides the basis for technical regulations. Well known in this respect are the WHO World Health Organization guidelines for drinking water quality, which are broadly accepted and internationally and discussed here in South Africa as well. And also here in South Africa we have a Water Research Commission which focuses on water pollution to provide water quality. And we also have Water and Sanitation Department which strives to ensure that all South Africans gain access to clean water and also to provide water services to our communities. In South Africa, we also have the South African National Standards, which test for quality of water and also states the minimum requirement for potable water to be considered safe for human consumption. When dealing with water, we must not also forget the importance of water catchment areas. A water catchment area is area where water is collected by a natural landscape, and it's usually surrounded by high features such as hills or mountains. And the soil in our catchment area acts like sponge, soaking up moisture and storing it in underground aquifers, and gradually releasing it into our rivers and streams, which then flow into our dams. The area around the water catchment plays a role in water quality of the water it surrounds. If the water body is surrounded by a farm, the water quality will be affected by the sediments and animal feces entering the water. Fertilizers and pesticides used near the water may also enter the water and introduces the contaminants into the surface and groundwater. If the catchment area is close to populated areas, then people around the area may pollute the water by plastic pollution, domestic pollution, and the pollution from the sewage. And the usage of household chemicals such as detergents can introduce contaminants in water bodies. Although industries are guided on how to dispose their waste, accidental spillage can occur, and this may introduce very toxic substances like heavy metals in water, affecting the water quality. Thus, the water is not good for human consumption and dangerous for aquatic life. The catchment areas provide people the stock with drinking water. They also provide people with water for domestic irrigation, and they also cater for recreation and tourism. They may also include important cultural sites. Wildlife also depends on catchment for food, shelter, and breeding sites. All in all, endocrine disruptors are chemicals that interfere with the endocrine system, creating possible health effects. It is then imperative to observe environmental safety and avoid pollution of water catchments. Also, we must respect the standards and regulation installed for drinking water in regards to water treatment, as they guide us towards the healthy limits for consumption and any other use. I hope this was very informative, and please feel free to leave a comment and let us know what you have learned from this presentation. The information and the research you see in the presentation was conducted by Mr. Dlamini E.A., Ms. Latikulu A., Ms. Mbele A., Mr. Mukaba T.M., Mr. Gandu K.O., Ms. Ntanambo B., Mr. Yambani T., Ms. Rahanya G.L., and Ms. Sombebeke C. Thank you for watching.